Today you're going to find the dreamer or God in you, who dreams everything in your life into being. So in this video, I'm going to bring you to Him and explain to you who God is, where He is, and how exactly He dreams everything into being. So stick until the end of this video if you want to find out who God is and why everything that you can imagine already exists or real, and most importantly, how to bring anything you desire into your visible reality by calling the things which are not yet seen as though they were. So let me begin this video with the following quote by Neville Goddard. So here, listen carefully as I take these passages and just try to recall them. Try to keep them in mind as I unfold them, for I am bringing to you this night the great dreamer who dreams everything into being, be it good, bad, or indifferent. I have been crucified with Christ. It is not I who live, but Christ who lives in me. Galatians 2:20. If we have been united with Him in a death like His, we shall certainly be united with Him in a resurrection like His. In Him the whole fullness of the Godhead dwells bodily. Colossians 2:9. Not figuratively, but genuinely in a body. In Him the whole fullness of deity dwells bodily. This is the mystery hid for ages and generations, Christ in you, the hope of glory. Colossians 1:26. Therefore I consider the sufferings of the present time not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed in me. Romans 8:18. In me, what glory! The whole Godhead dwells bodily in me, and when it's unveiled, I am He. Can I prove it? Now I'm called upon to test myself. Test yourselves and see. Do you not realize that Jesus Christ is in you? Corinthians 13:5. So what does this mean? I am consciousness, pure awareness. God was crucified on this body by becoming this body. So my true self, which is my imagination or awareness, has died to itself by imagining or believing itself to be me or this body. For if God did not die or forget who He was, I or this body could not be alive. So, in other words, I had to forget myself, my true self, which is pure awareness, and become aware of being a human, so I can have a human experience. So your physical body is simply the conception of your true self, your I am, or your consciousness. But are you your body? No, you are the invisible being. You are awareness wearing your body. So if you understand this, you'll be able to manifest anything. Nothing will be impossible to you, because you will know that you are not limited to this body. And so to manifest anything that you desire, the key here is to imitate God in you and become aware of already being that which you desire to be, or already having that which you desire to have. And this is exactly how you become it. So you place your true self, your awareness, in your desired reality, in your imagination, and fuse with it by believing yourself to be it. Again, the key here is to saturate your awareness with the feeling of your wish fulfilled, while knowing it is already a fact. This is how you make any of your desires take on a visible form. I have been crucified with Christ. It is not I who live, but Christ in me who lives. What this means is that it is not I or my outer self or my body that lives, but it is Christ or consciousness that makes that body alive or through which I live. Now let's get into more detail on who the dreamer is or who God is. This is from Neville Goddard's lecture called Behold This Dreamer, which is one of the most profoundly spiritual, yet the most practical lecture by Neville Goddard. He dwells in me bodily. Therefore, like myself, he must have organs. He must. On the outer self, I have organs. I see, I hear, I smell, I taste. Well, the eye is the organ of vision, the ear the organ of hearing, the nostril the organ of smell, and so on. But I am looking for something far greater, something in me through which the entire world was made, through which all things were made, and without him was not anything made that was made. I've got to find him. He has a body. It must have organs, just as I have organs here. Now I put him to the test. Think of your living room right now. Just think of it. You see it with your mind's eye, don't you? If someone changed a piece of furniture or changed a picture, on returning home tonight, you'd know it. You'd recognize that someone came in my absence and there is a change, because this is not the way I left it. But right now you remember it as you left it, and you can see it in your mind's eye. See it with the eye of imagination. All right, can you hear the sound of a voice that is not even in this world? My father made his exit in 59, my mother in 41. I can hear their voices as distinctly as though they were here in the flesh. So I don't have to go back for now some voice that is still being echoed in this world. I go to voices that are gone from this sphere. So I can hear with an organ that is not this ear. I can see with an eye that is not this eye. I can taste with a tongue that is not this tongue. And I can feel with a hand that is not this hand. Try it. Can you feel a baseball? Can you feel a tennis ball? Well, can you feel numberless different objects? And if they did not exist, how would you feel them? Well, who is doing the feeling? You have imagined the object, but the being that is performing the act of the touch and the taste and the sight, do you know who he is? That is Christ Jesus, and that is who you truly are. That is the immortal you who cannot die. No man can die because this presence is not tied to this body. It cannot die, but it must completely awaken. And when it awakens, it's God, the Father. This is what resurrection is. So when you put your hand upon the tennis ball, and I ask you at the moment, who is feeling it? You would have replied, I am. Well, that's his name. If I say, what are you hearing? And then you tell me that you are hearing something, and I say, who is hearing? You would have replied, I am. Well, that's his name. That is my name forever, and by this name I shall be known throughout all generations. Exodus 3:14. So you would have replied, yes, correctly, I am. So this is who you truly are. Christ in you is the hope of glory. This is the one of whom I speak. And when you touch these imaginary objects, the word imaginary in the dictionary is defined as existing only in the imagination or unreal. That's what they say. Let me tell you, imagination is the divine body in every man. Man is all imagination and God is man, and exists in us and we in him. So I sit alone and I perform a certain imaginary act. And I trust this presence implicitly, who is performing the act, for all things are possible to him. Yes, to man or the outer me, it's not possible. But with God, all things are possible. And I have found him. He is in me. So I would say to you this night, who are embarrassed financially or embarrassed in some other way, you could conceive a sin, if true, would imply the fulfillment of your dream, couldn't you? But I am speaking now of the great dreamer. Behold this dreamer. For can't you conceive a sin and actually take now the hand of God and hold it? In him is life, and his life is the light of men. No child could cross the threshold that admits to conscious life, were it not that he is in that child, but no child. So God in man is the light of man, and in him there is life, and that life is the light of men. So trust him, put your hand out on any object that, if true, would imply you have what you want in this world. Just put your hand on it. Now trust the hand of God. See it and trust the eye of God. Hear a conversation with some friend that would imply the fulfillment of that dream, and trust the ear of God. This inner you, which you say, is all imagination. I tell you, imagination is the divine body in every man. It is the eternal vine on which all things grow. Well, you this night felt him because you exercised his organs. You exercised his limbs when you spread out your hand to touch a tennis ball, and there was no tennis ball. When you stretched it out to touch a baseball, and there was no baseball. So when you actually called upon self to test it, and you could bring into play organs not known by the scientific world, and they called them imaginary, existing only in the imagination, and therefore unreal. When he is the only reality, because through him all things were made. There isn't a thing that is now made in this world that it wasn't preceded by an imaginal act. So the inner you, your consciousness, your awareness is God. Thus the key to manifesting anything into being or form is to become aware of already having the thing desired. So how do you become aware of already possessing that which you desire? You simply conceive an imaginal sin, which would imply that your desire has already been fulfilled. So the key here is to feel the reality of what you want by exercising your inner organs or your inner senses of seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, or smelling. In other words, you loop your imaginal act in which you are seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, tasting, whatever it is that you want, until it takes on the tones of reality, or until it feels natural. And then you drop it knowing that you have already experienced it, that it is already done, as if it has already happened. In other words, since your true self, your inner you, which is God, has already experienced what you want, know that it is already a fact, meaning that you are going to experience it in your body. So remain in the awareness of already possessing the thing desired, and you will possess it in your physical body.